My name's Neil Murray. I'm the executive producer of the National Theatre of Scotland, and we co-produced the show with Frantic Assembly. And I'm really pleased that Stephen Hoggett, who's the choreographer and director, co-director of Frantic Assembly, is here with us, because they were the real driving force to make this show happen. And we're going to be joined also by our brilliant cast, as and when they come. Hello. Who will join us as we go on. And I wanted to start. What we're going to do is I'm just going to ask Stephen a few questions, and the company will chip in. And then we're going to let you ask some questions. But I wanted to start by asking Stephen, and some of this information is kind of in the public domain, but it'd be good to get a real, more of an in-depth answer of what it was that attracted you and Scott, your co-director, to boxing and that led to Beautiful Burnout.
We've got two very different strands about how the show was. Scott's been a lifelong boxing fan, but I didn't know this until I went to New York with Blackwatch, and the Blackwatch boys, there was no showers in the theatre where they performed Blackwatch. You had to run across the road to a gym, Gleason's gym, and on one of the last nights that we were there, the staff director took me across the road. I didn't know that the gym was there, and so we walked off the street, and it was about 10:30 at night, and there's this gym, and it's massive, and it's where Muhammad Ali trained, so Mike Tyson trained, it's where Hilary Swank trained for Million Dollar Baby, it's where De Niro trained for Raging Bull. So there's all these photos around the gym. So it's a very imposing place, and it was full of very beefy looking men and women, all pummeling, and I remember being feeling very conspicuous and being frightened of the place for about 3 minutes, and then afterwards just being fascinated by it and thinking it was one of the most beautiful places I'd ever been, and everybody was just completely in this amazing space, and it's very random, people all over the place, so I left and I came back to England, and we were talking. Frantic shows have always started from really small conversations that mean nothing. Whose phone is that?
Who's embarrassed themselves? It's Mike Tyson.
Yeah. So I came back and I spoke to Scott about being in this gym for 10 minutes, and then he started talking about his lifelong appreciation of boxing, and then we started talking about theatre. If you could make a theatre piece that had a boxing match in it, and I've seen 3 shows with boxing in it, and they've all been shit. So, I knew you could do it very, very badly. I knew you could do it really badly because I'd seen it and wanted to. So they started with that really, and we came to Scotland for a week with National Theatre Scotland, and we worked for 1 week. And the thing we wanted to find out, it was just whether, and actually you were there that weekend, and all we wanted to know was whether you could punch somebody. Really, that was what we wanted to figure out, whether you could put boxing gloves on each other, and whether you could take a punch, and whether that would work. So it took us 5 days to find that out. Yeah, it's great when you can punch your cast. So that better. So that was the start, really. Once we knew that was possible, that was the start of the show.
Welcome to our brilliant cast who will join us. Can I just ask you, and you don't have to do it all in time down the line, but I just looked at you. No, just that point that Stephen's just made is maybe actually this is unfair, it's probably not you, but the 5 who had to kind of get in training from the start of the year. I mean, what have been the things that have kind of kept you awake at night when you've had to approach this show?
I suppose it's that scary place of.
I wasn't looking at him.
That scary place of misrepresenting or not looking like or looking rubbish at being a boxer was my fear.
So when are you going to sort that out?
I'm trying really hard. No, because I think people see through it very easily, because I mean a boxer looks like a boxer,
yeah,
or a footballer looks like do you know what I mean? They're athletes, yeah, and we're actors, and they're athletes. So it's just trying to get there. I suppose you physically don't need to. I mean, I know I don't look like a boxer, but I think it's just the way they carry themselves, or the weight, or how they throw a punch, or their attitude, I suppose, as well. Trying to get a blend and a balance of that was for me was the biggest challenge.
I was going to say that someone said you look most like a boxer.
Is that right?
Out of all, remember someone said that about the cast, is it actually you? Well, the Glaswegian boxer.
Right. That's nice, but he's ripped.
Not that guy's a dick. No, I think the movement kept me up at night, because like Ryan says, boxers move in a certain way, they punch in a certain way. You know, they look. When you look at someone, you can just tell that's a boxer just by his physicality, his grace on stage. I think that's what kept me up at night, especially with a character like AJ Chopra, because he's more advanced at the start than everyone else. Everyone else catches up with him. So it was about finding that the balance, like we were saying today, getting really good at it, and then getting really bad at it, because we've got to show that we're beginners and we're amateurs. Do you know what I mean? That balance from beginner, amateur to professional kind of kept me awake at night.
And it's also kind of holding on to technique as well when you start choreographing to sort of particular rhythms and counts and stuff. Because sometimes you then start dancing and the whole technique goes out the window and it just becomes about movement, you know. And holding on to the technique is probably something that I think we all kind of had the fear about.
That point that Stephen made about trying to avoid the cliche of boxing stories, I think I'm going to look at Lorraine and Ewan now, because I mean, in a sense, your characters, you're the kind of, in a sense, I don't know, like the moral centre of the piece some way, that, you know, both as the parent and the trainer. I mean, were you conscious of that, of the danger of that looking like the kind of the boxing cliche story?
Yeah, I suppose I am conscious of that anyway. That, you know, especially I think when it's a working class character, you know, that she just buckles down and kind of gets on with everything, and you know, she's a plucky fighter and nothing gets to her.
Oh, sorry then, go on.
No, I was just going to say that, so I think that comes down to the writing, really, to avoid that. And I think Bryony carefully avoided that. Certainly, I feel that anyway with my character. And, you know, and I know she's not a cliche because I know someone like her, you know, very, very like her, who's from Kilmarnock, who I have based my character on, and you know, and everything that Bryony's written is true to me for that character. That I know.
You, how do you feel in terms
well,
that kind of role model figure?
I don't really. Maybe, you know, it says a lot about my acting, but I'm not really bothered about. I'm not scared of cliches. It doesn't bother me if something is a recognisable figure. I suppose is what a cliche really is in a way. And so I'm not. It doesn't really freak me out, the thought that, no, this is quite a cliched character, whatever. I mean, often people see something and they respond to it because they feel that they can sort of know who that is already, which is, I suppose, a bit way to being a cliche anyway. I don't know, it doesn't cliche thing. I run towards it.
being the only girl boxer in the play, how did you approach that, and how did you feel about, you know, that figure being kind of in this kind of testosterone-fueled male world?
Yeah, it was quite, I don't know. To begin with, I think it was quite kind of daunting, I suppose, because I mean, it's a bit weird because I'm the only person that doesn't get punched, so you kind of feel a little bit left out, but at the same time I'm quite glad that I'm left out of that bit. So, but yeah, like down to the training and things, like I felt that I could match the boys, so I never felt as if I was kind of I'm better. But no, it's great, and it's actually really nice to be in that kind of male energy, because you don't really get a chance to do that a lot of the time. So it's been really interesting to do that. Yeah.
I'd like to open it out and let people ask some questions themselves, and we'll